Swaziland is a small country in southern Africa, bordered to the north, south and west by South Africa. Its population is just 1 million, and Mbabane is its capital. Swaziland obtained independence from the United Kingdom in 1968. The Comesa Secretariat and the ACP Business Climate Facility, BizClim, are helping Comesa member states in the area of enabling the business environment and boosting the private sector. The Comesa Secretariat and BizClim organized a workshop in Mbabane to discuss regional experiences and best practice in business climate reforms, and to present and validate the proposals on the Business Climate Reform Roadmap, the IT Business Climate Monitoring Tools, and the National Steering Commission. Thierry Mutombo from Comesa and Vipin Bowen from ARCA give us more details.
The National Commission is a structure that can be comprised of many stakeholders. We have the government officials, we have the private sector, we have the civil society. Those people are working together for achieving the common results.
The National Commission is very important because it involves government at the highest level, it involves private sector at the highest level, it involves a sense of ownership, both at the government and the private sector level, and it also helps to monitor the progress that is being made at the business level.
The state and private sector from Swaziland exchanged information with experts during the 3-day workshop.
We also have an institution called the Swaziland Investment Promotion Authority, which is a parastatal of government that is, primarily set up to help business start up and to help foreign direct investors to be able to find their way or navigate their way around the country in terms of, making sure that they are able to get the right resources, they are in touch with the right people.
We believe that the National Commission that is being implemented is actually going to assist in creation of employment and also to help us attract better investments into Swaziland.
It is very clear there are certain measures where we're not achieving the expected standards. For instance, obtaining a license, starting a business. Those are the indicators that we, both government and private sector, need to focus on to say what can we improve, and those are the indicators that are there for us, very clear for us to address, and that's what I think we should focus on.
The EU also supports this project.
What support can the European Union provide to improve the business climate in Swaziland? Well, I think one of the most important things is that it can provide comparative experience of other countries. For example, showing Swaziland how countries like Mauritius, Botswana forged ahead and have done very, very well, and what can Swaziland learn and follow as an example.
This opinion is shared by the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade in Swaziland.
This workshop is very helpful to the country because, one, it will help us to implement our already spelled out goals in the investor roadmap, but it will also help us to learn from other neighboring countries and also countries around the world on what are the key challenges that countries face when they do reform, and what can we do to learn from them. It's also opened our eyes to see that all countries in the world are also on a reform agenda.
The National Commission will definitely help us improve online registration, which we're not doing at the moment, and also to improve connectivity between all government departments so that doing business in Zimbabwe will become very easy.
Zambia can share quite a lot with Swaziland, especially on the fact that there is a need to get political will on the licensing reform program. And once that is done, there's need to set up a licensing reform program or a business reform program as a whole to deal with the business environment reforms. And then after that, involve the stakeholders.
Swaziland can learn from Senegalese experience to help SCBs to access to public market by setting a regulation that gave a minimum percentage of public procurements to local companies. For example, 25%, like in Senegal.
Mauritius, compared to Swaziland, if you look in terms of population, it's nearly the same population in terms of size. So obviously what Mauritius has done can be replicated in Swaziland, but obviously you'll have to customize the program. But a number of things, for example, in terms of starting a business, the reform which have been done in Mauritius, or in terms of improving the business licensing system, all those best practices can be implemented in Swaziland, and it can definitely help Swaziland move faster in its implementation process.
What's the current situation of doing business in Swaziland?
The World Bank's Doing Business report, Swaziland ranks 124th out of 183 economies. And when you look at the country's rating, you see a lot of variety. In some of the indicators, it does very well. For instance, dealing with construction permits, getting credit, it ranks 47th and 48th. But if you look at some of the other indicators, like starting a business, where it takes 12 procedures, it ranks 161st out of 183 economies.
What's the current role of women in business in Swaziland?
In the private sector, we have seen more and more women climbing up the ladder. We have more financial directors in the private sector now than 5 or 10 years ago. And we have a couple of CEOs. We have seen this in the financial services industry and other private sector institutions, as well as civil society organizations or NGOs.
How can Swaziland improve its business sector?
I think e-governance, the way in which all the processes can be coordinated and integrated through electronic data processing, I think that has been a big eye-opener to us.
The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, has presented a new system which can help find investors for Swaziland.
E-regulations is an information system, an online service implemented right now in more than 15 countries in Africa and more than 25 countries in the world. Basically, it brings transparency on business administrative procedures. I think it's very important for Swaziland, that has just relaunched a roadmap for business facilitation, to use e-regulations, for instance, to identify where the bottlenecks are, the obstacles are for business investors and for local entrepreneurs.
What has Swaziland learned from this workshop to improve its business environment?
You have to move the data, not the people. So Swaziland has to computerize so that investors or business people don't have to move from one office to another office, trying to get that permit, that license or whatever. So if we have just a one-stop shop, in the true sense of the one-stop shop, then things would move actually faster and much quicker in Swaziland.
Monitoring and evaluation mechanisms are very important for the implementation of any project. And obviously, business climate reforms are highly strategic for the country. First, setting up the National Commission. This is very important to monitor and implement the business climate reforms. Setting up project management mechanisms to ensure that you are able to track progress and to see whether you are on track or whether you are implementing what's being done. And finally, ensuring that you obtain the results that have been requested.
Why is Swaziland a good option for investors?
Swaziland has been improving its business environment for domestic entrepreneurs. In fact, in the past year, it eased the process of registering property by computerizing its land registry and decreasing the time to transfer deed. And in previous years, it also passed a number of legislations, for instance, the New Companies Act, the New Insolvency Act, and also facilitated trading across borders by introducing a new electronic data interchange system.
Swaziland is indeed Africa's new promise. The energy that we've got from the highest level of authority concerning this new agenda that we're driving has been amazing. The whole country is up in arms, saying that we want to make sure that this country reforms and we want to make sure that environment is conducive for the business people.
Swaziland is a country of opportunities. We need to have business facilitated in this country. And this country doesn't need a lot of effort to be transformed. If we have a good business environment, if people can easily access to land, if people can easily move in and out for this country, I think many things will be moving very, very, very fast.